Hello everybody and welcome back to my Flosstube channel. My name is Jasmine and I go by Bluesy Jazz here on Flosstube. I want to start the video by saying thank you to everybody who watched my last video, liked, commented, subscribed. There were far more of you than I ever expected to watch any of my videos ever. So thank you very, very much. I can't believe it. I really appreciate each and every single one of you. You were all so kind, had, wonderful things to say, so thank you. Since I didn't go into it last episode, I thought I would introduce myself a little bit more. My name is Jasmine. I live in Florida, but I'm originally from Indiana. I am 25 years old, and I work customer service, but I'm also full-time, technically part-time this semester, in school for criminal justice. I'm working towards a criminal law degree. That is my ultimate goal. So that's a little bit about me. We have 2 cats. Their names are Ricky and Percy. We love them very, very much. I am married. We got married in March of 2020, right before everything locked down. So let's get into it. As always, I want to start with my wedding photo project. And last month, I had not started this yet. Guess what? I have started it now. I was able to get the fabric and the scroll frame, and I was able to get a start on it. So that's a little bit of needle, my thread. I was able to work on this for 7 days in the past month, and I put in almost exactly 5,000 stitches. It's like 4,997 stitches along here. And I'm gonna be doing cross country, kind of like a couple rows of pages at a time. But I'm doing this top row of pages because that's actually the partial pages on this pattern. This pattern is charted bottom up, not top down like a lot of patterns are. So I've actually stitched pages 91, 92, 93, and I started on 94. But because it's charted like that, it's kind of annoying. Because it's, when it goes into my pattern keeper, which is what I stitch from, it puts it, it's 21 stitches tall, and I need the top stitch to be the bottom row of this grid box. But in pattern keeper, it's the bottom is the single row. So I have to shift everything up and it throws me off. So I'm making sure to do all of these pages all the way across so that I don't get confused. And then once these are done, about 2 rows of pages will fit here, and then I can do cross country on those. And I'm gonna do a little bit of cross country with this top bit, but I'm gonna have to be super careful not to mess up on that one. Part of my haul this month is this scroll frame. It is Easy Stitch by American Dream Products. It is the 30-inch scroll frame, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's very durable. This weird looking bit is where it attaches to the stand. So there's 2 legs that attach to either side, and you can spin it so it spins freely within the frame. And it also, you can set it at different heights. So if I was working at a table, I'd probably have it lower. If I'm working on my couch, a little bit higher. But I actually work in a chair, which I actually bought this weekend, and it's not wide enough for this 30-inch frame. So I actually have it to where one leg of the frame is on the arm of the chair, and one leg of the frame is in the chair. And so I have it to where on the leg that's on the arm of the chair is at the lowest setting, and then the leg that's in the chair is at the highest one to kind of make it more even. So that's fun. I look silly, but it works, and I love it, and I love my chair. I got it for like $40 off Marketplace, and we went up to Cape Canaveral and got it. So yeah, so that's this project. I'm really, really happy with my progress. That's 7 days of stitching, almost 5,000 stitches. And that's 7 days within 2 weeks, I think. So I think that's a pretty good start. I'm pretty happy with that. This project is dedicated working on weekends. So Friday night, Saturday, Sunday is when I will work on this project. Also, if I happen to have any days off, like full days off of work, I might pull it out, which I did do this past week. So yeah, that's this project. I keep it inside of a pillowcase, if anyone's wondering. But let's move on to other whips. I had 3 new starts that weren't planned at all. Kind of just happened. And this first whip that I'm going to show you is one of them. I'm a big person on, I don't know if anyone's a gamer and watches Jacksepticeye on YouTube, but he has this thing called PMA, which stands for Positive Mental Attitude. And I'm very much into that. It's my motto. I love, positive vibes always. And I saw this pattern. I don't have a printed version of this. It's Wake Up Smiling, and it's by Stitchery Stitch on Etsy. And it has a lot of really nice positive things to say. I'm actually making this for a gift for somebody. But if it's my vibes, if it's their vibes as well. And I ended up doing it on black, and I chose my own colors. I just picked what colors looked fun, what colors looked like they would go well, and I was able to get Wake Up done. I worked on this for 4 days this month. And I probably won't do this full chart. And the reason for that is because I didn't think to measure my fabric at all before I started. I just started putting stitches in. So I don't think there's enough length to do the full thing. So I'm definitely gonna do Wake Up Smiling. I wanna do the Be Bold, Fearless, and Legendary part, Be Optimistic. So I wanna do those 3 for sure. And then if I can get any others to fit in as well, the length of the fabric, I definitely will. So yeah, that's this little start. The next start isn't from a pattern. So when I was younger in high school, I did some acrylic art and acrylic paintings, and something that I liked to do were paintings that were, you took one color and you made your palette based off that one color mixed with white or black. So then you would have a scale of colors, and you would set those, and you would paint a color card so that you knew whenever you needed to mix those colors, you had a reference to go off of. And I just always liked having that card. I always thought it looked really fun. It was always fun matching the colors. Now with cross stitch, you're not exactly matching colors because they're numbered and they're set, But I liked the idea of having a color card. So I took all of the colors from my wedding photo project, which there are 150-ish, I think. And I went to the DMC color card. I don't have a physical copy. I just looked at what's available online, and they have the different columns, and each of the columns have the different numbers within them. And I arranged the colors based off those columns. So say I have 310 in my pattern. I found where 310 is, it's in column 15, so I marked that. And then I laid them out. This isn't the best pattern, but I printed this paper offline, and it was just a bunch of diagonals, and I drew where I wanted my, the size of the pattern, and then I wrote the numbers. So I took the ones in column 1 that are in the pattern and wrote them, across. Then I moved on to column 2, and so on and so forth. So that they would kind of be in color families a little bit, but in rows. And I've been scribbling off as I do them. So like I have the numbers written here. This isn't pretty, this isn't formal, this is going in the trash as soon as I'm done. But I thought it was pretty neat, and I think it looks really cool. That's the back. So this is what I managed to do. I think it looks really good. It looks really neat to have a little color card with all the colors. And my plan is, because it's pretty small, it's, I don't know, maybe 3 by 3 and a half, 3 by 3 or 3 by 2.5 or something. I'm gonna make it into a little needle book. I think that'd be kind of neat. And I just made them diamonds and put them next to each other. I will say I absolutely hate working on this. This is my least favorite thing I've probably ever stitched in my entire life. I don't know why I hate it so much. It might be one, because I'm doing it in hand because it's so tiny. I don't have a frame or a hoop or anything that would be able to hold it. I'm doing it in hand, and my hand gets pretty tired. And I'm not doing loop start because I borrowed this thread from my kit for my wedding photo, so I didn't want to take a whole bunch, and I would have to have taken twice the length that I did if I were doing loop start. So I didn't want to do that. So I just took off a smaller chunk, and so I'm not doing loop start. So yeah, that's this. I like it. I think it's cute. I think it's going to be great and look really nice. And I love how the colors all kind of work together. So, you know, you have reds and then blues and greens, beiges, some more reds, which are kind of random, but that's how they are in the DMC color chart. And then you got your neutrals and grays. The pattern only repeats 2 colors, and I put them at the end. I basically just started it over. So that's that. The next start that I had to do, well, no, I didn't have to do it, but it was highly encouraged to do. I'm going to a Sunshine State Stitchers retreat in October, and one of the things they ask you to do is to make a name tag, and they provide you a chart to make said name tag, and then they'll give you a little badge for it to stick into. And so I don't have it's here flashed. It's a little bit of a chart. I don't know if this is copyrighted at all, so I don't want to show it too closely. But I was able to start and finish it this month. I chose a fabric I just had in that acquisition I had last month. And there it is. Sunshine State Stitchers, Jasmine, and it's a couple little seahorses. This is kind of my favorite color, hence the walls being basically that same color. And then complimentary orange, and then some yellow lettering. I did not do French knots. I did colonial knots. Shout out to Patty for that. Thank you so much for showing me, teaching me, or at least telling me that there are better alternatives to French knots, because I know how to do French knots, and I have done them before in the past, and I've successfully done them, and they've been great. But for the life of me, when I was working on this and trying to get the seahorse's eye, I tried so many times and I couldn't get it. And Patty said, well, look up a YouTube tutorial for colonial knots. And I did, and it's way better. And you can't tell that there's a difference. It looks great. And so I will be fully finishing this. I went to Joann's and I tried to find sticky board, because I know they have some. They have their own brand, but the Joann's I went to didn't have any. So I'm gonna have to order some off of Amazon and wait for these to come in. And I actually have Patty's as well to finish for her. So she does a darker blue and brighter, neonier colors, and I think they look great too. Hope you don't mind me showing. So yeah, there's just a couple different ways it could look. So I think that's neat. And I know someone else that's going did theirs on like really sparkly fabric, and theirs looked great. All right, moving on. I think the next thing I'm gonna go into is what I also finished. This wasn't a new start. I did show this last time, and that was the, again, I don't have a mock-up. It's a free pattern off of the DMC website, and it's called ABC Christmas Noel Tell. And I cut out the alphabet because I'm not a big alphabet fan in stitching. Sorry. You know, samplers and stuff, that's not really my vibe. I get it. I get why they were used in stitching in the past and why they're still used. I totally understand. They're just not my thing, and that's okay. But I was able to finish it. And here was my finish. I added, so the first thing I did was I cropped it. I brought up the bottom and I kind of made up the corner because it wasn't gonna like match up exactly right. So I kind of made it up a little bit, and I don't think you can tell the difference at all. And I just realized I'm missing a stitch. Wait, where'd that go? I thought I saw. I am missing a single stitch. I'm gonna have to go back in and add that. Gosh dang it. Okay, I will do that before I fully finish it. I'll go back in and add this single stitch that I somehow missed. But then I also added a thicker, I don't know what number braid this is. It's not number 4 Krynic. It's a thicker braid, and I don't know what one off the top of my head, but I added this, like, I think this is called a running stitch, just all the way around, and it added a little bit of sparkle. It's more sparkly in person. Camera doesn't tend to pick up sparkle very well. And this is a gift. I will be fully finishing this and giving this away. And I got this fabric to finish it on, and I'm just going to do a flat finish with this around it. I don't know how to show it, but I think I'm going to do on the bias. I think it'll just look a little bit better when it's finished. I don't know how to hold this up and mock it up. But I think you get the idea with the fabric around it, and you know, I think like a white and red cord to hang it with like a ribbon. I think that'll look great. This was stitched, I didn't really say what my other stuff was stitched on. The PMA one is a black 14 count Aida. The color card is on 18 count white Aida. The name tag was done on a 16 count dusty blue. I don't know what the color name was. It was something I acquired in the stash. So, and then this is on 28 count Monaco 2/2. And I think that's everything I finished. Let's go into other whips that I worked on. This is Colorful Cat by Joy Sunday. And this is on a white 14 count Aida. And I didn't get much done on this at all. I'm starting to lose momentum on it because I'm not so happy with the stitching, because it was something I was using to learn and get back into cross stitch. So it's a little bit harder for me to pick it back up. I kind of lost desire to do full coverage on higher counts. I am really loving doing 28 count tent stitch on that wedding photo, which I'm not sure I mentioned. This is 28 count easy guide, and I am doing 2/1 tent stitch, and I just love doing it. I love it. It goes by so much faster because you're only doing half of a stitch, and I don't have too much of a problem seeing the stitches. I do have a magnifying lamp that I use that helps me see them a little better, so I just really like that for full coverage now, and I'm losing momentum to finish this, but I'm very determined to do so. It just might take me a long time to do it because I don't have the steam for it, but I might catch it again. I literally only did just over 100 stitches down here. I don't know, I might have had this 100 done, and I literally might have only done this little bit. I'm not sure. I worked on this for no more than an hour this month. This is it as a whole, and here's my little bit that I worked on. I also don't really like this because my gridding is off. When I got this fabric, I gridded everything, and left to right and top to bottom is off, which makes it annoying. It is 1 stitch off up and down and 1 stitch off left and right, starting at the page marks. So from about here over, the gridding is off by 1, and from here down is off by 1. Learn from me, folks. Buy pre-gridded fabric. So that's really annoying, but I'll get there eventually. This next one I've been calling landscape because I'm not sure what the real title of the thing is, and it's by DMC Cross Stitch on Etsy. It's on a 14 count white Aida, and this is the one I talked last month about how I wasn't quite sure because I was working on this section and the color of floss was pretty much identical to this top section and you couldn't see it at all. I did rip out what I had, and I worked on this for 3 days this month, and I was able to rip it all out, and I was able to find a different color that I'm hoping doesn't interfere with any of the future colors. It's only going to be touching this one right here, I think, and I think it's more bluey. It's more of a blue-gray that you'll be able to see it against the next color. So I was able to rip out what I had, restitch, and I got all of this done, and then this morning I was able to finish marking up where this one is. I worked my way up and I didn't mean to flip you off, I filled in the little peaks so that now I can just go back and forth and back and forth all the way down. And I think Pattern Keeper says I'm about 50% done with this. Which seems about right. And in case you're wondering, I ran out of this floss color. So I need to get some more. I actually looked for some today and they didn't carry the newer numbers, which I think this is 01 DMC. And the Joann's that I went to didn't have like 0, 1 through 35, which are the newer colors. So I'll need to get the newer ones. I know the Michaels near me does. I just have to go. No big deal. The next one I worked on is Cat by Let's Make Crafts. And this is on 18 count Aida. And I am very much enjoying this one. I like this one a lot. I didn't make too much visible progress. I mean, I made enough for me to be satisfied. But here's what it looks like when it's finished. And last month I had just these 3 little toes. Just 3 little toes. And believe it or not, that's about 1/4 of the stitching is in the foot. A lot of this is blank space. So even though I've only done now a foot, it's about 1/4 of the way done. So here's where I've made it so far. I was able to add this other little toe and some of the stitching down here. Sorry, that's my floss hanging. And then after I think I'm working my way up now, and I'll be working on his face now. So that's really fun. I like him a lot. He reminds me a lot of my cat, Percy. My cat will literally lay just like this. And I caught him laying like this a couple times this month, and I kept saying I need to take a picture, and one time I actually did get up to go take a picture, but every time I would get close to him, he would look up. So that wouldn't work out. But I do love him. I love this, and I can't wait to keep working on him. I don't know if I said, but I got 4 days of stitching on him this month. This next pattern is one that I restarted this month, or I might have restarted it last month. I had just restarted it when I filmed last month, but I'm going to restart it again. Don't hate me. The reason I'm starting it over is because I've decided that I don't really like parking that much. I liked it when I was working off of a paper pattern, but now that I use Pattern Keeper, I don't like it as much. I want to do more cross country, and I have already purchased, I just haven't received yet, gridded fabric. basically the same fabric as the wedding photo, just a smaller cut for this pattern. And it's Cats and the Cockatoo by Instant Cross Stitch. And what I have done is on a 28 count linen, and I'm going to be doing it on a 28 count, it's an even weave, Lugana, I think is what that fabric is. It's a Lugana. Sounds about right. And then I'm going to start it over a third time and get going, because I do love this pattern. It's a colored pattern. My copy that I have printed off is just black and white. It's a lot of beiges, and I really like it. I think it's charted very well. I put the mock-up in Pattern Keeper, looks great. So I can't wait to stitch this. I really love this pattern, but I have restarted it so many times now. So I'm gonna repurpose this fabric too. So here's all my parked threads. And here's my itty bitty start on it. And I'm glad I'm restarting. Yeah. I'm gonna repurpose this fabric. I have a skull pattern that I have kitted up with a 14 count Aida. I think it would look better on this. So I might do it 2/2, and I think it'll look a lot better. But here's what I have in the Cats and the Cockatoo. It's about 300 stitches. It's not much. I'm not worried about restarting it, but there's a lot of confetti, or at least there's a lot of confetti within a 100 by 100 block. And going cross country with it is just going to be so much better. It's just going to be much, much better. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to restart it again. And this is 10 stitch as well. 2/110. So when that fabric comes in, which it should be here in the next week or so, I will probably restart that as well. That's all of the whips that I worked on this month. I didn't work on everything that I have, and that's okay. Sometimes you don't have to. But let's go into haul, because that's a little exciting. So the first bit of haul, today I went to 2 of our local needlework shops. I went to, I say local, but I was on the road for like 2 hours today. Unfortunately, neither of them are really geared towards cross stitch. One is called Barefoot Stitchery, but it's more of a crochet knitting. She has some cross stitch, but not a lot at all. Like she has maybe 30 different DMC colors hanging up on the wall, and she had a couple patterns there. She had one pattern that's actually on my wish list to 1 2 3 stitch. I just wasn't looking for that today. I was looking for floss, because the retreat that I'm going to in October with Sunshine State Stitchers has a floss exchange, and you bring 6 flosses that are autumn themed, and you exchange them and gift them, whatever. And I didn't want to do just all DMC. I thought that would be pretty boring and kind of lame. So I was looking for some overdyed cotton or silk something. And so I didn't find anything at Barefoot Stitchery. And then I went to, now I can't remember what it's called. It's something needlepoint. Seaside Needlepoint. And they had a little bit more, they're more geared towards canvas work. So I'm guessing more embroidery than cross stitch. And so, like, she had a ton of Krynic, but the Krynic was all like number 8 and number 12 braids. So for cross stitch, we would typically use number 4. She had some Karen silk, but I would have been looking more for Karen water lilies, and they had Karen expressions. They didn't have any regular DMC. They had DMC pearl cotton. So again, not much that I'm really looking for. However, they did have some overdyed cotton. They didn't have too much, and they didn't have any brands that I recognized, like I would have recognized Color and Cotton or Classic Color Works or that's all I can name at the second. But they didn't have anything like that. They had something called Threadworks. And this looked fall to me, so I went ahead and picked it up. I think it's called Nutmeg. Yeah. 10770 Nutmeg in Threadworks. And this comes in 20-yard skeins. It's 100% cotton. And it looks nice. It looks like it would do you just fine. So yeah, it's hard to get the color across. It's like a nutmeg color. And then I will complement this with some DMC. I don't really want to order something off of 1 2 3 Stitch for this. I'm just gonna get some DMC and it'll go with this, and I think it'll be fine. I also got a bunch of DMC. I'm not gonna go through them. It's just I picked up some DMC because I got my first ever Mirabilia, and it's gorgeous, and I can't wait to do it. So this is the Snow Queen by Mirabilia, and she has a ton of different beads and a couple different Krynics, and she has 2 different colors of Karen water lilies. But yeah, I'm really excited. I love this pattern so much. I'm so excited to start it. So these are all DMCs geared towards this project. I also was able to pull from my stash, because I have one of those now, some of the DMCs that I just already had got to go in here. And so those other flosses will go in here too, and back into the binder that I use to kit stuff up with, or where I store stuff that I'm working on kitting. Let's save the more exciting thing for last. So this next pattern is something I actually got today. I went to a stitch-in with the Embroiderers Guild of America today, and one of the lovely ladies there had brought in a few pattern books. And while most of them were needlepoint and embroidery, there was one cross-stitch book, and I went ahead and grabbed it because I liked it. And it's a Stony Creek Wit and Whimsy pattern. And so there's fun stuff like follow your heart but take your brain with you, or organization takes the fun out of everything, or lead me not into temptation, I have my own GPS. Just little fun stuffs. Really like them. So that's that. And lastly, I got a couple of the Scary Apothecaries, and I am working on getting this full series. I got Bat Balm and Broomstick Fuel. So I'm working on getting this full series. I also got fabric. This fabric will be able to hold 2 of them. So I'm kind of doing like, I'll buy 2 patterns, I'll buy a piece of fabric. That's kind of how I'm going. I have put an order into 1 2 3 Stitch. I put it in a couple days ago for 2 more patterns, another piece of fabric. I got one of the overdyes that are called for. This pattern this series calls for quite a few different Krynics and overdyes, and I do want to do it in called for. I've never worked with overdyes before. I've never worked a pattern with lots of Krynic, and I want to do it. I really, really do. I want to do everything in called for. The only thing I changed was the fabric, just because the fabric that's called for is not on 1 2 3 Stitch, and I prefer ease of access. So I got one of the ones that are called for the whole series. So when those come in, that'll be great. I also, at the same time, ordered some of the beads and one of the Krynics for Snow Queen. And one of the Karen water lilies too. I kit things up pretty slowly over time, so don't expect any of these projects to be started anytime soon. Kind of just look out for me saying, hey, I bought a bunch of floss, and oh look, Mill Hill beads, and never seeing them for another few months. My plan is to kind of just kit up a bunch of stuff and have it so it's ready to go in case I want to get that urge. Now, I'm only kitting up stuff that I really, really want to do, so stopping myself from starting them all at once is going to be very difficult. But I do want to work on the projects that I have for now and then treat myself with those later. Except for the Snow Queen, I'll probably start that as soon as she's kitted because I just love her. And I want to get my hands on a memorabilia. I want to start it because they're so pretty. And then just plans, I'm going to continue kitting those up. I also am in love with Nora Corbett's 12 Days of Christmas series, so I want to get started accumulating those because I absolutely love them. I went through, so what I did, with the hands-on design, what I did was I went to 1-2-3 Stitch and looked at all the things that are called for in all of the patterns, and I basically made a list. So like I wrote DMC 310, and then I put a tally mark next to it, and then I just wrote all the ones in the one pattern, and then I went to the next one, and then if it has a 310, I'm going to put a second tally mark so that I can see how many patterns use each thing, so I know how much I need of each thing. And I did the same with the 12 Days of Christmas series. Those patterns are not very big. They're like 2 by 3 inches, and so they're really small. Actually, I just realized that I estimated 2 by 3 inches, but I counted for 1/1, so I need to recalculate my fabric size. Note to self, because that should be 2/2, not 2/1. Anyway, so I did that for the 12 Days of Christmas, and in 12 patterns, there's like 60, almost 70 different DMCs called for, which is a lot for just those little things. I don't mind at all. It's just, I thought it was funny that there were so many different ones called for, and obviously tons of different Kreinecken beads. So I'm really excited to kit those up. I also want to kit up the, what are they called? The Year in Chalks by Hands On Design, and do those as well. So those are the 4 different things I really want to gear towards kitting up. I will probably finish kitting up the Snow Queen and the Scary Apothecary before I move on to those other 2. But yeah, so that's the plans with, kitting things up and starting. I don't have plans for any new starts. We'll see what the month brings. You never know. I don't really plan what I'm going to stitch, except for I dedicate my wedding photo on the weekends. I kind of stitch whatever I want to stitch. I'll bring easier things to work with me. I go into the office 2 days a week, and so my lunch break is an hour. I will stitch on my lunch break, and so I bring easier things that I don't necessarily have to do a lot of counting for. And then also Thursday nights I go to a stitch-in with some friends, and also 2 Saturdays a month. So those things I try to bring easier things, and then on the weeknights I can do more complicated stuff when I have time. I had a couple questions in my comments about Pattern Keeper, how I translated my photo into a pattern. So if anyone is interested in learning how I translated that pattern, or how I use Pattern Keeper, or how I kit up different projects, or how I keep my floss for projects, let me know. I'm happy to share what I do. Not saying it's the right thing. There's tons of different ways to do that sort of thing, but I'm always happy to share with what I have. So if enough people are interested, I might do a separate video on the program I used, which was Pig to Pat, which is how I translated that photo, and then also on Pattern Keeper if anyone's interested. I think that's all I have. Another 40-minute video. I hope you all have a great stitchy month. I'll see you next month, and we'll talk to you soon.